first time I've been back in 20-odd years. You know,
it's still pretty much the same place?
It is pretty much the same. It's a little bigger on the outside. The town's, you know, there's a few more farmers, but right here in the centre of the town it's exactly the same, really. Maybe a few more donkeys back in those days. You know? And just to be able to hang around somewhere and listen to other people's music, and it was so fascinating after just listening to your own for 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, and now it's all very fashionable, this sort of world music.
Yeah, well, I think that's got to do a lot with communications. Right? We get people start to hear more and more about what's going on in other places, and there's more contact between people, and so something that would have appeared really sort of exotic and strange maybe 20 years ago slowly people start to accept other music from other parts of the world.
قلتي كنا نتكلم عليه بزاف خلي هذا يزيد. This is علي. هذا ميك جاجر معلم كبير. This is عبد الله. هذا ميك جاجر. This is Ali. هذا ميك جاجر. This is my brother Mustafa, my little brother.
Your younger brother?
Yeah, this is my little brother.
This is your older brother? Yeah. You're not so bad with him?
No,
You're strong with him?
Yes, he plays with me the music. We play sometimes together, man. This is Abdulnabi. هذا ميك جاجر. This is Abdullah. This is Muhammad. This is old man. He want to see you. Buso she busa. He want to kiss you. And I think he met you a long time in Tangiers.
In Tangiers?
In 1001 Night with Brian Geisen.
With Brian Geisen?
Yes. Yeah. This is his name Ali.
Hello Ali.
هذا Mick Jagger.
Hi.
أجي. هذا محمد. Mick Jagger معلم كبير. This is Mukhtar. Mick Jagger. This I'd be very happy to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is Ali. This is Abslam.
Hi.
This is Lahsan. هذا Mick Jagger. This is all of them
this
here,
is good.
And they are very, very, very happy. We're waiting for you 20 years ago. We're waiting for you, Mick, and all of them be very, very happy.
Well, I'm very happy that we could all come.
Thank you very much. هذا Ron. This is Abdullah. This is King Richard. Ronwood.
Yeah, we're so
Joe, King Richard. Ron, Joe, King Richard. King Richard, Ronwood, Joe. You're welcome. Beautiful. Thank you.
I could tell I could find my way.
We just
been playing?
Yeah, we play with your rhythm.
Track.
Yeah.
With the song. Great.
Yeah.
How's it sounded? Good?
The sound is perfect.
Perfect.
It's fantastic.
Good.
Thank you.
Just an idea that Mick and I looked together and said, well, if ever we could use the Jouka pipes, this is probably the track to do it on, you know. They pick it up amazingly quickly at first. It's just this cacophony of sound, but then suddenly you start, they're getting their patterns down, you know. It's a lot of drummers, you know, they all have to work out what they're going to play. But, it's the pipes I want to hear next.
Good. Well done. Quite tiring. Do you know what we should do? Is to get the fast part, the very fast part, the groove bit going to that.
Definitely.
It's a separate piece, because that's really great if we could get that right.
Do in the section.
They did a really good end then, which we can put in for the stops.
What we have to have adequate bits for each section. You know, to think that we need. So should we just go for this really fast section now?
Yeah, I think, yes, from the speeding up. I mean, I don't know if we'll get that speeding up a bit. Certainly when they get into that, when it goes for a long time.
Yeah, when it's a long time on the speed, we can do that.
That's really important.
That's what I think we should go for next. Yeah, and then give them a break and then the pipes up.
And try a bit more.
Yeah, we can do a little bit separate drumming afterwards as well.
And then pipes after that.
Yeah.
So that's for the pub.
Let's go for the speeding up.
We've got a red line.
It was the 1967, and we'd all been. My house had been raided by the boys in blue, and we thought, well, that's a good start to a year off. So we said, well, let's get out of here.
When Mick Jagger and Keith Richard came out of court, they were surrounded by...
So some friends of ours, Robert Fraser and Christopher Gibbs, were coming down, and Michael Cooper were coming down to Morocco. So we said we'd join them down here. So I felt like driving. So I drove from London through France and Spain with Brian and Anita. And Brian got ill, I remember, and so we carried on without him and left him in a hospital. And eventually, when we got here, he was already better, and he was already at the hotel. So, and after that, things get kind of hazy because we were so punch drunk from all that time on the road. But we were here for weeks before we then drove on to Marrakesh. And we were just wandering around listening to music.
Whilst they were in Marrakesh, the Rolling Stones met royal photographer Cecil Beaton, who had been visiting Morocco since the 30s. He photographed them and recorded the meeting in his diary.
An evening with the Rolling Stones, Marrakesh, March 1967. On Tuesday evening, I came down to dinner very late, and to my surprise, sitting in the hotel lobby, discovered Mick Jagger and a sleepy-looking band of gypsies. It was a strange group. I don't want to give the impression that I was only interested in Mick. But it happened that we sat next to one another as he drank a vodka Collins and smoked with pointed finger held high. His skin is chicken breast white and of fine quality. He has an inborn elegance. He talks of native music. He'd heard a local tribe playing pipes like those used in Hungary and Scotland. He liked Indian music too. He said he'd like to go to Kashmir and Afghanistan, in fact to get right away from England, which he considered had become a police state with harassment and interference. He maintained that he'd done nothing to deprave the youth of the country.
If one is on one's own in a private house, not doing any harm to anyone, I don't really see why all these people should wander in and say you're doing something wrong. Well, he's not committing a crime against society, perhaps against himself, it may be true to say.
The next day at 11 o'clock, Mick appeared at the swimming pool. I could not believe it was the same person walking towards us. The very strong sun reflected from the white ground made his face look a white, podgy, shapeless mess. Eyes very small, nose very pink and spreading, hair sandy dark. His figure, his hands and his arms were incredibly feminine. Their wardrobe is extensive, but everything is shoddy, poorly made. The seams burst. Keith himself had sewn his trousers, lavender and dull rose, with a band of badly stitched leather dividing the two colours. Brian, at the pool, appears in white pants with a huge black square applied onto the back. It's very smart in spite of the fact that the seams are giving way. But with such marvellously flat, tight, compact figures as they have, with no buttocks or stomachs, almost anything looks well on them.
Was that the trip where Brian heard of the Jouka musicians?
I think so, eventually, yeah, because we were a long time in Marrakesh. We came back to Tangiers, and that's, I think, when Brian got to hear about them. Because when he got back to London, he was saying, oh, well, I'm going to go back and record these guys, you know. And so that was our first contact. At that time, he was really the first one in the band to bring in other elements of other people's music. You know, he was the sitar. He's very interesting. Also, he was very adept at. Brian would walk in the studio, and no matter what instrument was lying around, even though he'd never played it before, he'd be able to knock something out of it very, very quickly. You know, hence we used to use vibraphones and stuff, mainly just because they were lying around in the studio, and everybody thought, what a wonderful piece of orchestration. But it was just sheer accident, and Brian's ability to be able to get something out of an instrument. Hence, he'd pick up some sort of primitive sort of instrument, say here, and be able to play it. You know, so he brought more exotic tones to the band, shall we say? You know.
Would I mean, he left the band, and we know what happened since. But do you think if he'd stayed, would the music have taken a different course under him? Would the band even stay together?
I wonder. I mean, that's very difficult to say. Brian, as a guy, was one of those guys who said, I'll never make 30, and actually proved it. You know? I mean, so I really think he was burning out at the end, and then, so the question of if he was a different kind of person, then he wouldn't have been able to do what he did. I think there was a sense of urgency about Brian. That he had, you know, I think he had some fatalistic idea that he wasn't going to make it for too long, and so he was trying to cram everything in at once, you know.